Welcome to episode
162.
Yes, 162 of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. This will go on YouTube as well. This will be an interesting podcast. I have a grab bag of questions.
A grab bag?
Grab bag.
On your phone?
Yes. But the first one, it's a 2018 digital grab bag. But the first theme we want to talk about is...
So you're looking at pictures?
Yeah, I have screenshots.
Okay.
The difference between owning a site and a CRO. So go, Chris. All you.
The difference between owning a site and a CRO?
We have so many people that don't own...
Truly a question?
Yes. We have so many people that think it's sexier to own a CRO. So these are people that don't own anything. They may not even be in the industry at all, but they just hear things.
I don't think they're in the industry. I mean,
not.
A common question is, what's the difference between a site and an SMO?
No.
That's a little more in line, though. A site and a CRO are two completely different things.
Here's the question. I had the opportunity of blah, blah, blah. Well, let's keep this one confidential.
Sure. Always.
I would like to know, how difficult is it to open a CRO if you're not financially equipped to get it started? And how is this different from opening a site?
So maybe they don't mean what's the difference between a site and a CRO. More...
What's a better business model, I guess, is the...
Yeah, and what are the costs associated with both?
Yes.
That really reads, to me, more how the question reads.
So what is your take on this?
Well, really, I mean, geez, that's an interesting question. So,
for me, it's a no-brainer. What's easier and what's better?
I was just thinking from a cost standpoint, it actually might be cheaper to start a CRO.
Yeah, you don't need anything.
Right.
You need an email address, a website, and somebody.
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Very interesting angle.
Yeah.
That we're taking on episode 162.
That's what I was saying. Interesting question.
Okay.
So if costs are a concern and you're well versed in the business, CRO could be the better avenue to pursue.
Expand.
Well, just again, because the costs, right? Costs associated with it. I mean, the site you're looking at, you need to employ. If you're not going to be the coordinator, you have to employ one. Some investigators, right? You have to have a PI. Can't get a study without one.
Okay.
Some principal investigators will not agree to a percentage, so you got to pay them an hourly rate, right, for whatever work they do. So costs associated there. Then,
interesting. I'm glad we did this topic.
Then on top of that, you have to have a location, right? Can't do it out of your garage or your house anymore.
But with a CRO,
you can do it out of the garage of your house.
It could be all virtual.
It could be out of the garage of your house, unlike a site, right? So you don't have costs associated with the site, right? Having rent and internet.
So startup costs way lower as a CRO.
Can be, right?
Can be if you do. Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have actually zero costs associated with starting a CRO. Absolutely zero.
Can the same be said for a site?
No, I don't think so.
Let's think about that.
So, at the very minimum, starting a site, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are some costs with a CRO as well, but they're minimal, just like I was going to mention with the site. These costs are...
You have to have insurance.
Right, you have to have some insurance, you have to establish your business name, get a business license, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by establish business name is get a company, establish a company, right? LLC, LLC, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's costs associated with that, but they're both minimal. But with the CRO, I think your costs in there. With the site, again, I mean, you may have to pay the PI, you may have to pay a coordinator, you will certainly have to have a location. But if you get lucky and get the best possible scenario at a site as well, the costs aren't outlandish, but I think they are more than a CRO, because at the site, if you partner with a PI who's willing to accept a percentage and you're utilizing their office space, then there's no cost associated, right, with those things. They're already paid for by the the doctor, right? You're using his site, he's willing to accept a percentage of the budget. You may have to buy some equipment though that the site doesn't already have. So there'll be some costs there, but they're minimal as well.
Yeah, it's not like it costs a lot to open a site either.
In the best case scenario, right?
Which is where we direct most of our clients when they're
Not always possible.
Right.
Right? Because again, you may have a PI that has to get paid hourly or a salary, and you have to rent a location. You have to rent an office space.
Right.
So definitely costs associated with that.
What are the hard costs of a CRO? There's really nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there is.
Because what is a CRO really? I mean, if we break it down to its least common denominator, what is it? It's first of all, it's not necessary. Right?
If the sponsor
You don't need a CRO.
The sponsor, yeah, sure, they can do it themselves.
Which they're starting to.
Right.
Right?
So it's just somebody who's going to be the oversight, essentially.
Not even
To
that.
the
The
study.
sponsor has to be the oversight.
Well, yeah, the FDA put it back on them, true.
Yeah.
But-
what do they do really?
Well, it's kind of like the same relationship with a PI and somebody in the PI delegating tasks, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same relationship now.
It's like a site owner and then a PI and a sponsor.
Exactly.
Right? You're
So sponsor the CRO.
in a perfect world, the sponsor would love to just hire the PI and then do the studies with them.
Yeah,
They don't want a site. They don't want a CRO.
correct.
They realize it's the real world, and that's how these things actually get done.
Right.
But a CRO is really not needed.
No, if a sponsor is willing to take on all of the tasks on their own, which many are not, but like you said, I think more are ramping up so where they can do so.
So cost is easier. Barrier to entry is much lower to be a CRO.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing.
Minimal.
But
Very
then
minimal.
how do you stand that? The hardest part becomes
Getting the business.
how do you get the projects? Because
Right.
as a site,
The business.
and by the way, as a site, it's not easy to get studies when you're a
Much
new site.
easier. Much easier.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
Of course
we talk about it all the time.
Sure, but much easier than getting a project as a CRO.
I would say a magnitude of 10 times easier.
Oh, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on the flip side, you have the profit margins. If you run a site properly the way we instruct in our Site Owner Academy, which
Now,
shameless plug is our best product,
sure, but in your opinion.
in my opinion.
But before we get into that, we still don't have a ton of data on CRO work, right?
We've done it for a year now,
And we've had, what, 2 or 3 projects?
but this year we're about to get 2 more.
Right, but still, we have limited data, comparatively
Sure.
speaking to site
But-
data.
Okay, we have 2 projects that we actually won and 2 more we're probably going to get soon. But how many? We've bid for a lot more. And we know the process of trying to get studies
Sure,
fairly well now.
sure.
And we've
trying-
had, from
From both
conversations.
angles, we know about trying to get projects,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's site level and CRO level.
And at the site level, we know for like over a decade.
Right.
Going on 2 now. So, much easier, in my opinion, to have a site.
Mhm.
Anyone can go open up a CRO. I mean, you can do it in 1 day.
Now, when you say anyone, that's assuming they have experience in the industry. You can't be Joe.
No, this is a person with no experience.
So Joe Smith walking down the street, who was an auto mechanic yesterday, can go start a CRO tomorrow.
Yeah, he can.
He won't be successful.
Right,
I mean,
right, but you can.
sure you can, but you won't be successful.
Correct. Most likely you will not be.
No, I don't even think there's a most likely.
So is it important if somebody wants, first of all, I don't know why anyone would want to open a CRO. The reason we're doing it is to work our way into equity deals with sponsors.
Right.
If we can bypass the whole CRO thing, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Although I think it serves a dual purpose now with our CRA Academy. So give some of our
serves a number
interns
of
some work.
purposes, really.
Give
Sure.
the interns work.
And-
That's another shameless plug, CRA Academy.
Yeah, and it also gives our consulting, once we are
Yes.
selecting sites,
Yes.
potential work as well.
Yes, so
clients.
multiple birds with one stone. But if I was just looking to maximize profits, CRO maybe sounds sexy and appealing initially, but you're not going to be Quintiles and you're not going to be Par Excel. and your margins are, I mean, we've done these proposals now, these bids. The margins are not there when you compare it to a site margin.
Yes, that was just what I was going to say. Compared to a site, yes, I would agree. I mean, the margins are much better than, say, owning a restaurant.
And your chances of success are probably better than owning a restaurant.
Given that you have experience in the industry, sure. Or, starting a number of other, a number of other industries, grocery store or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, compared to a site, the margins are definitely not there. I completely agree.
Now, is it if somebody wants to, let's say they're listening and they're saying, hey, no, that's great, but I still want to own a CRO. Should I go the site route first if I have no experience? Site route first?
Oh, absolutely.
I would recommend that to you.
Absolutely. You need to be able to speak the lingo to sell yourself to a sponsor, and that's the best way to learn.
Now, what if it's a CRA and they're deciding, because I don't know what this person is, but...
Sure, I can see CRAs doing it.
CRA wants to do a CRO instead of a site.
Yeah, I can see that.
And is that you give them the Chris Hopper seal of approval for that?
Depending on what they know, but assuming most CRAs I've met, I would say probably could do it.
And the most challenging aspect of running a CRO?
Getting the project.
But it seems like once you have a project with a sponsor, they'll give you plenty of work.
Oh, yeah.
So then the challenging aspect becomes making a profit.
Sure.
And not running yourself into the ground.
Sure, yeah.
Which you can very easily do.
Sure, you'd have to hire some people and
if you're a CRA trying to escape traveling and you want to open a CRO thinking that's a way to do it, well, yeah, you can hire a CRA, but then where's all your profits are going there?
Well, they're not profits, they're costs. But
pass-through costs, and what you'll keep is the TMF and whatever overhead you can negotiate, which is starting to get squeezed out.
Sure.
But sponsors realize they don't need these CROs.
Depends on, because we've talked to a number of different people, and some say you charge 3 times your cost, right? That's your profit.
Ridiculous.
Which we found doesn't seem to be likely that you'll get that. But
You'd be lucky to get your cost plus 20%.
I would say 30, but...
As a site...
No, I'm saying as a CRO.
Yes, now as a site, you can get 80% profit margin.
You can, sure.
And it's much easier work.
I don't know about 80% profit margins, but I mean, because if you're paying a PIC 20% of the budget, there's you're down to 80, and you have some other small costs associated with that, probably 70%. Assuming again you're under the best case scenario, in which you're utilizing the doctor's office space, right?
Yeah.
Your PI's office space. Your costs exponentially go up if you're paying for the office space and all associated costs with that. Then you're probably down to 50%. Still better than a CRO though.
Okay.
If you're paying PI, site costs, and a coordinator, you're probably down to 50%.
Got another question now. Next topic, shift gears. But same train of thought. Types of clinical trial designs, which we're just starting to dabble with. Can you define with examples a clinical trial of high, moderate, and minimal complexity? Asked by a very friendly viewer.
The examples?
What makes a trial complex?
Sure.
What makes it
medium? Let's start at easy.
Start with easy.
So easy would, in my opinion, be like an observational study. Right? Like a phase 4 observational study. That's probably about as easy as it's going to get.
And first of all, what I wish I could ask this person is, what do you mean by easy for who, complex for who, for the sponsor,
I think
for the site,
for easy,
for the CRO?
I think it's the same for everybody, easy, right? So you're doing a phase 4 observational study. I think that's easy for everybody. That's because, again, it's phase 4, so there's very little, if any, FDA oversight involved, unless it's mandated by the FDA. So it's more of a marketing study, right? Then the FDA oversight's laxed on that, as it probably should be. Right?
Okay.
It's already approved. That's again, if there's no safety concerns that they're having the sponsor take a look at. So it's simple for the site, it's simple for a CRO if there's one involved, and it's simple for the sponsor. It's already approved. again, little if any oversight from the FDA. So that's probably the easiest study, right? For every phase 4, even if it has some safety concerns, it's still probably, that's about as easy as it gets. Is a phase 4 trial.
Okay,
Let's
so
say phase 4 for a type 2 diabetes drug, right? Which they're just trying to get the doctors used to prescribing. I mean, you're looking at their blood glucose levels. That's about it, right? And the assessments can be anything, right? It could be one assessment for that study. What, how does the patient feel at their visit, right? So patient comes in as part of the regular checkup. Doctor, just for the study, asks, do you feel any better on this medication?
yeah, and I think this person's asking more about the design of the study, but still for who? Like if it's for the patient, if it's for the site, if it's for the sponsor. So I'm gonna assume it's for the sponsor and the CRO and the site. Now, in my opinion, the more complex a study gets more complex as you start adding more places where deviations can occur.
Well, and also the phase, right? Most likely. Because if you're doing a phase 1 study, right, with many moving parts, right? You have a patient, most likely it's inpatient.
Mm-hmm.
You have lots of PK sampling. You may have...
Those have to be drawn at the minute.
Right.
The window are minutes, not days, like in the outpatient study.
Sure, and then sometimes they want to see, because the sponsor's running it on limited funds, so they do a phase 1/2 where they want to see some efficacy results to see if it's even worth pursuing into phase 2.
Yeah.
So then you're doing assessments too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, that can get rather difficult, right?
Yeah. I think to keep it simple, it's where you can, the studies where you can have more potential deviations are complex.
Sure, when there's more parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like a phase 3 study where you're just doing assessments for the most part, right? They could be involved because there could be a lot of assessments, but there aren't many different parts. Whereas a phase 1/2, there are going to be a lot of different moving parts there. Like I said, the PK, and then you have the assessments too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
What
two
about
very
inclusion?
important things. that
There's
we're looking
also
at.
inclusion-exclusion criteria that could be complex,
Sure.
right? Versus restrictive. There also could be multiple treatment arms that can change based on certain assessments.
Sure.
I mean, that's, in my opinion, the easy way to this from a site perspective. And when you're designing it as a sponsor, you want to keep the site in mind and obviously the patients in mind. But for the patients, it's not really, complexity is not necessarily the issue, although if they have to have tons of blood draws and come in with very tight window intervals, then it could be complex for them as well.
Also, you put a lot of work onto them as well. You have a lot of diary entries and...
Yeah, those patient-reported outcome assessments are horrible for these patients.
Yep.
Right? And we've had many a time where the patients were excluded from a study based on them not answering questions in the diary, even though they qualify for the study.
Right, outside of they missed a day of entry.
So that makes it complex for the patients too. So that's a tough one, but in my opinion, try to keep it as simple as possible for the patients, keep them in mind.
Mm-hmm.
The sites, don't give them opportunity for deviations. That's how you know if a protocol is written well or not, is how do you prevent deviations from the study design?
Do. Sure, but a lot of this can be mandated by the FDA, so you have to make it complex.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So,
In that case, there's not much you can do.
I mean, mandate's the wrong word, but you've been advised by the FDA to include certain data sets that make it difficult.
Mm-hmm. Another question. How do you prioritize data entry in a very busy clinic? As a research assistant,
Wait, read that over, I'm sorry.
how do you prioritize data entry in a very busy clinic?
Okay.
I am a research assistant added to studies with many enrolled patients and they're missing data in ECRFs. Sometimes I feel lost in what to do first. Clear queries, update visits, prioritize adverse events. This is a site that's just behind on everything.
That sounds like it.
So what does this person do?
Okay, so would be my rationale. I've been out of the coordinating aspect for quite a while, so I don't recall, maybe you remember, but what does a sponsor typically prioritize? Getting queries answered or having new data entered?
Depends on where they are in the study. If it's a database lock, they want queries answered.
Well, that's not true. They would want everything entered, right? If there was a visit
Not
2
if,
weeks
not
ago.
if the monitor's haven't SDV'd the visits that you haven't entered yet.
Okay, so
Doesn't affect the database lock.
because the
It
contracts.
depends. It depends on where in the study you are. Like, what does the sponsor want at that time? And if you have numerous studies, well, which study is most pissed off with you? Well, seriously, which sponsor and monitor is most fed up with you? That's the way I prioritized.
You know?
Yeah, this monitor is making the most noise. I'm gonna answer her stuff first,
Okay, but
and then everyone else. And then when I get caught up, I'm not gonna get behind.
okay, but let's think about this for one moment. So let's say you got a sponsor so pissed off, you know they're never coming back to you with a study.
Right.
So they might have just all of a sudden gone down, way down on their priority list, right? Because
Yeah.
what's the point? Let's try and keep these other sponsors happy.
Yep. You are correct.
So
So it all
maybe-
depends.
I guess the answer to this person who I assume is a coordinator and not an owner.
It's a good question, though.
Who's a coordinator and not an owner?
Is it not a good question?
Sure, but I would probably ask whoever owns the site or the PI, hey, I can't do all of this. How do you want me to prioritize
As a
this?
site owner, what you should do is update visits first, because that triggers how you get paid.
Sure.
Queries can wait, but if there's a database lock and you're gonna have angry CRAs, and they're keeping metrics on all this stuff, by the way, how quickly do you enter data? How quickly do you answer queries?
To me-
How do you prioritize AEs? They're tracking all of it, so you're screwed no matter what you do. You just need to get it all done. Stop listening, stop watching to this podcast, and go get it done right now.
To me, it sounds like he or she, the coordinator here, needs to have a conversation with the site owner and say, we need to get another body in here to enter data, right? Because you could hire somebody that's still in high school. They could be a sophomore in high school. Let's get somebody in here for minimum wage even.
Okay,
And
then you
enter
have that
data.
conversation. Okay.
Enter data, and then that allows you as the coordinator to answer queries. You know,
Okay.
one individual entering data, coordinator can handle the queries. That kind of hopefully will solve your dilemma. You need another body,
Yeah, but okay, that's great, but these things need to get done now.
and then get another body now.
Okay, but-
you got a younger sister or brother?
This minute,
Well, yeah, that's not gonna happen this minute.
enter the new visits first. In my opinion, I'm a site owner.
Sure.
Enter the new visits, even just put the date. Some studies that triggers a payment. Okay? You'll leave a place marker for when you need to fill out the rest of the data. Answer queries.
Okay, let's take an assumption here for a moment.
Yeah.
Because I understand, and I think a lot of the audience understands, you're thinking from a level of let's get money rolling in.
Yes.
What if money's not a concern?
When is it?
No, let's say it's not
Not.
a concern. Let's say you're a very busy site, it's not a concern. We're not worried about a few triggered payments.
Queries.
Queries?
I think so. Followed by probably entering data.
You're worried about long-term.
Yeah,
With your
queries.
sponsors and getting repeat business.
Queries, then enter new data, and then AEs. Now, if it's SAE, you should enter that first.
No, all right.
But they don't really rely on the EDC for SAEs. They have forms that you send in.
Right.
So
Right,
that's my opinion.
okay.
Get another question. Can you expand with some examples on how to be a good patient recruiter? If you have no experience, one of the strategies I always tell people to do is if you want to work at a clinic, intern, go as a patient recruiter, and then get good at recruiting patients.
Sure.
So how do you do that with examples?
How do you position yourself so a clinic would want to hire you as a recruiter?
Like how do you actually recruit patients?
Oh.
And how do you position yourself?
So Getting patients is pretty easy because as a site owner and site director at times, I've had people come in and say, are you hiring for anything? And I'll tell them, sure, we need patients. You want to recruit for patients?
And how many take you up on that?
Everybody that walks in the door and nobody's delivered anything.
Exactly.
Right? But guess what?
But they all say yes, that's great.
Sure. But they would catch my attention if they did deliver.
Yes.
Right? So
And now if they
for a
deliver, like,
position-
let's say 3 patients, and they say, hey, you know, Chris, I actually want to be a research assistant, even if it's for free. I'll keep recruiting,
Right, yeah,
but I want to learn some of the other stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See, I tell everybody to do
Sure.
this. But it's very hard.
Yeah.
So how do they recruit the patients?
So
What can they do, the ones that say yes? They're obviously, if they all say yes and none of them come through, it's difficult.
So let's cap off the first part of that, right? So go into your local research clinic, right?
Yeah.
Speak to the office man, whoever's running the site director for research there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all set up differently. So speak to somebody in charge of research.
Okay.
Probably not the PI. And tell them you would like to recruit for a study, any study for them, and you'll accept payment upon delivery. You're not getting paid.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid an hourly rate or anything. You're getting paid upon delivery of a patient
Yeah.
enrolls.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no risk from the site here.
Right.
Okay, that's how you position yourself.
Yes.
Like I said, I've taken up many people on this. So,
Right. And no one's delivered. So why?
right, because obviously I believe they're fairly lazy.
Okay. So how does one, let's say they're not lazy, go get patients for a clinic?
Okay, so let's say you're legitimately interested and you want to do this, you want to prove yourself. You're going to need a copy of the inclusion and exclusion criteria, so you know what you're looking for.
For the studies they need help with.
Right. I mean, maybe the site doesn't only give you that, because there is some liability involved for the site.
Maybe they'll just say, go get me patients with irritable bowel syndrome.
Exactly, without giving you any inclusion and exclusion criteria, but you prefer to have that
Okay.
to deliver a quality product to the site. And then you could run some advertising,
Where? We need to get very practical here.
Craigslist.
Run a Craigslist ad. What section?
Shoot, it's been a while since I've done it.
There's the volunteers. There's also a paid section, like a paid gigs.
Right, it's gigs, that's where.
Gigs? Paid gigs.
Yep, paid gigs. That seems to be,
That works better than volunteers.
Yeah,
I've
works-
done both too.
it works better than anything else there, for
Yeah.
research.
For research. Okay.
So, yeah, paid gigs.
And how much does Craigslist cost to run an ad on?
Paid gigs is free.
For how much?
Free,
Free.
yep,
So this person who's recruiting has no risk.
exactly.
And what do you write on Craigslist? Let's get very practical.
Well, here's where you
Because now you're going to get people say, well, I don't have IRB approval.
right, and you can run into problems here.
I don't want my phone number given out to psychos. I
Right.
don't want a website. I don't want to put the site's website because then they'll bypass me. There's a whole bunch of objections.
Well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to do something, right?
So, yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
So probably you're gonna wanna put your phone number in.
Get a
your
Google Voice phone
personal
number.
phone number. They can respond by email exclusively, so you can go that route.
Yes.
If you wanna maintain some anonymity.
Here's another trick. It costs nothing
Yeah,
to
but-
create a simple website.
Sure.
Nothing. You don't even need a domain name. You go to Wix, get one for free. Right?
Mhm.
Nothing.
Sure, and they can provide I assume they can leave their contact information there.
The key theme here is it's a lot of work with no guaranteed returns, which is why no one does it.
Sure.
Alright, I shouldn't say no one. Very few do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you want to get your foot in the door at a research site and not go the CRA Academy route, because students that do the CRA Academy don't need to go to patient recruit. We put them in touch with
Right.
sites. But if you want to intern at a site, no site's going to take you up as an intern because you're wasting time for them. Then that's, yeah, it's free, but somebody has to spend time training you. So they don't want that. But if you bring them patients, right?
Mhm.
Craigslist ad, what else? Go to doctors' offices and
Yep,
get
introduce
the
yourself.
doctors interested in referrals.
Yep, so in this case,
Set up support groups.
Well, going back to the doctors, you're not to pay referral fees, but you can pay them to review their charts. So
Marketing fee, pre-screening fee.
sure. So with the individuals that I offered this opportunity to, I told them I would pay them $800 for a qualified patient, right?
It's good money.
Sure. These were for more difficult studies. So if you were getting paid, say, $800, you might give half to the doctor that refers the patient.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever you're getting paid, give half to the doctor. You might have to give a little more if you're not getting paid a lot. If you're getting paid $400, you might have to give the doctor $200 or $300, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to do it. And like you said, there's other ways as well. I mean, Facebook ads, Google ads, but those cost money.
Sure, we're trying to give people like the free. Go to Craigslist, post that you're running a support group every week.
Sure.
For patients with whatever, and then actually learn about that condition.
A support group where though? At
You
your
can do
own
meetup.
home?
No, you can do meetup. You can meet at a restaurant, Starbucks. You can meet anywhere.
It's still going to be costs associated with that, most
None.
likely. Well, if you're doing it at a restaurant, they're going to expect you to buy something.
No, you can go to meetup.com and you can go to like Starbucks. Everyone gets, you get a coffee and then people just join you.
Okay.
You can even put in the ad, buy something, like to eat.
Okay.
Whatever. We've done this for Alzheimer's before at our own clinic. It's worked
That's a little different. That's what I'm
relatively
saying.
well.
If you don't have your own clinic.
Meetups.
Mhm.
Or you go to support groups. You don't need to host it.
I've actually done that. I don't like that, but yeah, I've done that.
You can.
Sure.
You're not supposed to be disrespectful during the meeting and start advertising, but after,
Why I don't like it is because it's difficult to strike up a conversation with people because
yeah.
they're the presenter is always talking,
Well, here's what you do. You go, you sit for the whole thing,
which is boring as hell. And yes, I did this.
you talk to other people after, and then, oh, by the way, have you heard of clinical research? I'm a recruiter for some sites, there's studies.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta really learn about the disease
Mm-hmm.
and take a genuine interest in it, which is again why it's more difficult. So if you want to go the patient recruitment route, go to a site that does studies that you're interested in. Like if you like psychiatry, go to a psychiatry site. If you like oncology, go to a cancer clinic.
By the way, just because I'm gonna leave this out there, my least favorite way was going to support groups.
Right.
And I much would prefer to go to doctors' offices and have a conversation with them.
Oh yeah. But some people are the opposite.
Yeah, sure. So experiment and see what you
Yeah.
prefer to do.
Are there other ways? Craigslist, the free ways. Oh, yeah. Go to a medical clinic, print up a bunch of flyers. It's not free, but you can do it at your home. And put them on the windshields of every car. We have a study for this call. Guarantee if you hit up 500 cars, you're going to get 1 or 2 calls. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Sure.
People don't want to do it. You either do all that work and it sounds like a lot of work, or you join the CRA Academy. And you can bypass all that stuff.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Here's another free way. You go to a clinic, they recruit for, let's say, postpartum depression. Okay? You're interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
You, the person. So you go home and you every day make a video on postpartum depression. And you take the audio from that video and you make it a podcast. And then you take the audio and you write an article about it. Every day. Within a month or so, you'll start getting leads. And even if you're not getting leads, if you tell the site you're doing this, and they like that, they see some kind of competitive advantage in having you do this for them,
Sure.
in exchange, not for paying you, in exchange for allowing you to intern there. I will make these videos free. I've been doing this for 2 weeks. Here they are. They might be impressed, right?
Sure.
I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I'll continue. I don't even want to get paid. If any patients come in from those, you'll pay me. But I want to, in exchange, learn how and start building my CV.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways. There's more. If we sit here for another 20 minutes, we'll find 5 more ways.
I forgot the question.
They want practical examples of how to get started as a patient recruiter.
Okay.
Pretty practical.
Sure.
Pick one. The last one. This has gone on for a while.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm a site manager at a study site with one PI. We recently received an inquiry for a phase 3 study. I wanted to look at the basic info on clinicaltrials.gov before completing the questionnaire. I couldn't find that study. Wondering if pharmaceuticals can start talking to PIs before posting the study on clinicaltrials.gov.
That was all done.
If the answer is yes, which they can, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm wondering if there are studies being dished out that are not listed on clinicaltrials.gov, making the site not so useful for searching for potential studies.
Also, that was all done.
Now, does that mean clinicaltrials.gov is not so useful for searching
No.
for studies?
It's not what it means at all. It just means it's not a list, 100% list of all trials.
Because this person's saying that it's maybe not useful.
No, it's useful. It's
So
just,
why? Tell them why.
It just doesn't give you access to every trial out there. But it's better than nothing. You have a source to access potential study sponsors, right?
Right.
Or not so much CROs, but even then it does. So it does give you access to your source of revenue, right? What did you used to call it?
Dialing for dollars.
There you go, dialing for dollars. Find some numbers and start calling. Most of the time, they're not going to produce anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while it does, right? How many phone calls to get us, would you say that if you're dialing for dollars?
Well, these days it's emailing for dollars.
Sure, but back in the day when you used to do
It was
this,
dialing for dollars.
so back in the day when you used to dial for dollars, how many on average, and think about it for 10 seconds before you answer, would you say you had to dial to get a legitimate lead?
I don't
from
even think
potential
I've
client?
already done the math.
Yeah,
100.
100.
Whether
100
it's calls
phone
or
calls.
emails. Yep. 100 contacts.
100 contacts, and you'll have a legitimate possibility for
Yes.
study.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So a day's work.
Yes, and you're right. Good observation about clinicaltrials.gov. Viewer. Sponsors are required to post their studies, but no one's really enforcing it. And yes, they can get fined if they don't post the study, and then if they don't post the results. But there's kind of like a gray area. First of all, half of the time they don't even post at all. But there is a gray area on when they're supposed to post it. Like, you're supposed to, once you submit the study to the FDA, and then you get IRB approval, you're supposed to post it. And you put not yet recruiting. But a lot of sponsors don't do that because they don't want a bunch of sites hitting them up right away. Remember, people, clinicaltrials.gov is not meant for research sites to make your life easier. It's meant for patients and doctors to find studies for their patients.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares about your site in New Jersey and why you're pissed off that you can't find study leads on clinicaltrials.gov.
Yep.
Good. They don't want you to find out.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't mean it's not effective. It's very effective.
Yep.
It's a lot of work. This is related to the patient recruitment question.
Sure.
Work.
Yep.
This podcast can be summed up in one word. Work.
I don't know about the first topic, but yeah.
The CRO and the sites. That first one was a lot of work.
Yeah, there's work, but that wasn't really the conversation or the topic.
Right. Anything else you want to add
No.
to this random musings from the Clinical Trials Guru? Let me see if I'm getting all the questions.
It's a very long one. They usually don't run 40 minutes.
Sometimes when I go solo they do, or when I interview someone. Depends. If I go on a rant, this might be a question. No, that's not a question. But yeah, I think that's good. Done?
I'm done.
Take care, everybody. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.